Welcome back. Today we have something a little bit more rough than I usually make. This is going to be pretty quick, and before I start, I probably will be testing Manadomes a lot more later. This is all just like, this is like the pure combos that I found testing like the first or second day that these cards were revealed, so this isn't going to be a super in-depth guide or anything like I usually make. So these are your two, or I should say Riumheart is your main starter of the deck. So the whole gimmick of this archetype, right, is that you have these level 2 tuners that when they're destroyed by battle or card effect, can summon another one with the same name from the deck. And there's two of them, and they each have a different effect. This one can increase its level by 2 if it's special summoned by that effect. This will just be like, you know, basic, pure 2-card combos here. We're going to destroy it with the Obsession, which is going to search for the field spell and summon out another level 2. Visa Starfrost is a card that is very powerful in this deck, because it not only triggers these guys, but it's also a tuner. So Visa Starfrost plus Riumheart is always going to be a level 10 synchro, which of course you all know is Baron. The Scareclaws, again, are another very strong option for the deck, because with one Visa Starfrost, you can make Lightheart, which will search for the Scareclaw field spell, which will search for Riumheart, which will search for a rival, which will reborn the Visa Starfrost. So you go like +4 just by summoning Visa Starfrost. And on top of that, also triggering your tuners by summoning the Visas in the first place. Here's another card I want to talk about real quick, is the Vicious Astroud. You can fusion summon this by banishing monsters from your graveyard. It always requires a Visas, and it requires any like heart monster, like Riumheart, Riumheart, all of those. You can use any of those. So after you use all these to make like a Baron, for example, you can go straight into this guy, which combos very well with a card like Cross Sheep, because when you summon a fusion to the zone that Cross Sheep points to, it will let you bring back any monster, level 4 or lower monster, from your graveyard. So it lets you recycle any tuners, any non-tuners, anything like that. So Riumheart, whenever you use the search effect to add the spell or trap, if you have 3 or more monsters in defense position, you get to draw a card. So when you're summoning out all of your little tuner guys, you want to make sure you're putting them in defense, so that by the time you get to Riumheart as part of your combo, you'll get to draw an extra card, which can be extenders or whatever. That's a neat little tip there for you. And you'll see we get to go for things like Appaloosa and Borlode Savage. Borlode Savage will be able to equip the Cross Sheep, giving it 2 negates. So one thing you might notice right off the bat is that this is a board that Dragon Link was making like 2 or 3 years ago. So when I say that I'm going to need to test this deck more, maybe splash some other archetypes into it, it's because this deck unfortunately just isn't that interesting as of right now. The Manadome Synchro monster is more like a going second big damage type of card, like an Unga Bunga type of card. It really doesn't offer anything unique in terms of this deck's playstyle, but I'm really hoping that the second wave of support is going to spice things up a little bit, because, you know, as cool as the archetype is, it's just a worse Dragon Link. Like, Dragon Link can put up boards like this through maybe multiple interruptions. So that was the first combo with the Water Tuner. Here is a combo with the Earth Tuner. Now this one doesn't really get any effects when it's summoned. The only thing it gives you is that synchro monsters you control gain 500 during the battle phase this turn, which is Probably like the worst effect they could have possibly given this thing, but you know. It's just a name. At the end of the day, it's just a name. So we're gonna follow a very similar path as last time. Now, not being able to make this a level 4, like the other tuner, we're gonna have to make the end board a little bit different, but the steps to get there is mostly the same, right? We're gonna pop this with the Obsession to search the field spell. We're gonna summon out another tuner. Field spell, search Visas. Pop the tuner. We'll trigger both. So you can actually like chain block this, right? Because the planet, whenever you destroy a Manadome monster, you can summon another Manadome from your graveyard, right? So you can actually chain block the special summon from deck in case they have any kind of disruption for that. But if your opponent is on like maybe Ghost Bell instead of Ash, you can chain block in the other direction. So depending on like the format and what hand traps are popular, you can chain block these depending on what is more safe. So we get another tuner here, and then we're gonna go for the whole Scareclaw engine. Just go like +4 real quick. Right, so we get to draw a card off the right card. We are going to make a Charge Warrior here, which will draw another card, so we've now drawn 2 cards. We fully replaced our starting hand. We get to summon back the Visas with the Arrival. You can also summon back the Riumheart with the Arrival as well. So if you need the non-tuner body instead of the tuner, you can also do that. It just depends what kind of hand you get. Lightheart, if you control Visas, you can special summon it from your grave. So if you want to go for like a big Link summon play, this can be used as like one extra little Link material, which is very nice. We can make a Baron here. We have the Cross Sheep, so once we make the Astroud, banishing these 2, will let us summon back a tuner from grave. Then we can use the Charge Warrior and the tuner to make Clearwing. Sorry, not Clearwing, Crystal Wing. This could technically be a Borload Savage as well, right? Because it's just like generic materials. Clearwing can be good in certain matchups, though. Now here's something a little extra you can do. Instead of going for Appaloosa and being boring, you can go for Elf, bring back a tuner, and then any tuner plus the Vicious will make another level 10. If you're going second, you can make the Prime Heart level 10, but this card just really doesn't do anything going first. So if your opponent's playing a deck that banishes a lot, you can make Chengying, for example. And in a board like this, you have Elf, right? And Elf, the zones that it points to, those monsters cannot be targeted with card effects. Depending on which monsters you want to protect the most, you can have the zones point to either one of these. Now, what if you open Visa Starfrost instead of Riumheart alongside one of your tuners? Now, this board isn't going to be spectacular, because we're losing a lot of access to our Manadome engine by not having the Riumheart. But I think we can still put up something decent here. Thanks in part to the Scareclaw engine, right? Scareclaw engine is gonna get us there. You get to search for the Riumheart, use the Riumheart, get a rival. Because these can make Baron, right? And then these 2 can make Elf. And now, since we have these 2 in grave, just by using the Scareclaw engine, we can get out the Vicious Astroud. Could also be a Cross Sheep as well, but Elf is better because you can just summon both of these in the zones that it points to, and these can't be targeted anymore. So it's not as flashy as a combo if you draw Riumheart, because the Riumheart is like another +3 in advantage on its own. but you can still put up a really annoying board, to say the least, right? An Omni Negate Ching-Ying is like impossible to out when you have Elf pointing to it, and it's just really annoying for decks that banish a lot of cards. Here's another 2-card combo with the Field Spell plus the Riumheart. This deck has a ton of 2-card combos, because they all just kind of search each other and whatnot. So this goes a bit different, right? Because while we do get the Meek and the Riumheart, the same as that first combo that I showed you, we had to use this to search Visa Starfrost after we used all of these cards. So we're going to have to take a whole different approach this time. You'll also notice that I summoned the Meek first instead of the Riumheart. You can summon these two in any order you want, because Meek can be summoned if you control Riumheart. Riumheart can be summoned just by destroying a monster you control. Which, the tuners, they like being destroyed, right? You can summon them out in different orders, but they do different. The combo changes depending on what order you summon them in. So for example, if we normal summon this first, we get to summon a Meek from deck, and the Meek from grave with the Field Spell. So that's one of our Meek activations, right? Which means now the Obsession and the Visa Starfrost are the two other ways that we destroy the tuners. But now we can only get value off of one of them. So, in this scenario, we can go for something like a reframing. Because Riumheart can search any Manadome card, so monster, spell, or trap. We can get something like reframing here, which when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a synchro, you can negate the activation. Then if you have Visas or any of your heart monsters in grave, you can destroy that card. You can banish it from your grave to shuffle back some dudes in the graveyard. I wish it would like shuffle back and draw, but maybe that would be... Maybe Konami knows something that we don't, and maybe that's for the best. So we're just gonna do something pretty honest here, right? We're gonna keep it honest. We don't have access to like our big value engine, so we're just gonna keep it nice and simple. We can go for Charge Warrior to draw a card, and then end on the Baron. Then we get to end on the Baron and the reframing, which is 2 negates, and then you would have like 4 other cards in hand by this point. The Primeval Planet Calarium doesn't do a whole lot, or it doesn't do as much as the other planets for other archetypes, unfortunately. It just kind of gives an attack boost. So there's really no way to take advantage of it other than searching. The Reborn effect is good, but once it hits your opponent's turn, the card is kind of useless, unfortunately.